Okay, so what have you finished in the previous class? String sort. Okay, so by now you know what is a sorting routine, right? And what is a string. Okay, so today we are going, I mean, I have introduced you to this concept before. So guys, now you can speak up. I mean, I will not be looking into the chats as I am speaking or as I'm typing. So yeah, so I have already introduced you to this before when we were discussing data types. So today we will be discussing structs and I mean mostly structs. I guess unions or type enums. So we'll discuss in the next class maybe. But today we will be focusing on structures. That is structures. So this is chapter 16 from your book. Yes. So let's first discuss on a concept. So there are two things now. So there is a thing called a data type, and there's another thing called a data structure. Can you guys say what is in which category does an int fall? Int. What is this?
Data type.
Yeah, int is a data type. Correct. In what category does this fall? This is a data structure. Now, why am I calling it a data structure? See, when you progress in your semesters, you would see more fancy types of data structures. But from a simple language perspective, you have to start with, you have the most basic data structure that you can think of is an array. Why is it called a data structure? It's called a data structure because it's a structure that holds the data together, right? Think of it as like you have your buildings, right? You have your buildings and you have your what do you say, you have those poles, right, wherein those poles holds the cement together, isn't it? So what are those? You could say those are frameworks which is holding the bricks together, sorry, the bricks together. So you could think of the bricks as data type, and you could think of the structure as a data structure. And why is array called a data structure, not a data type? Because array array is a structure that holds the it's like an holding fabric for the data types. And depending on the type of the data, it can hold different data types. Is this clear, guys? Difference
Sir,
between data structure and data types.
sir, is array not a derived data type?
It is a derived data type, but then that is also called a data structure. Structure in the sense, because this is the first line that you will read in your book. So structure means it's a thing which is holding small data types inside it. Like you could call it as like it is you could call it like it's a skeleton, right, which holds the data together. If I say array, so if I use, let's say, if I want to go to the fifth element of the array, what do I say? I say a4, right? Then I go to the fifth element. So what does this mean? So if I declare the array as a 100 sized array, so this means this array called a has the capacity to hold 100 integers, 100 data types. So it's like a holding area, like holding area for 100 data types, that is 100 integers. Now, if I want to go to the fifth element or the fifth data type, fifth integer, I just have to say a of 4, and I can go and access that data type or that data. So it's like a base where all the different types of all the data types are embedded, right? So I have this 100 I have this 100 integers together for me to access, and I can just access by giving the respective index of that element. So that's why it's called a data structure. It's not a data type because it's not a single data, right? It's multiple data put together. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just remember this distinction: data type and data structure. Okay, so you guys are comfortable with arrays, right? So let me just do one thing. discuss some basic things about arrays. I will introduce structs after this. So let's say you have an array of 3 integers. So how do you initialize an array of 3 integers? You just say 12, 13, and 14, right? And then you have your array here. How do you say array of? Then you go array of 0, array of 1, array of 2, right? And then that's it. So you did two things here. In the first line, what you did, you declared an array, and then you initialized three integers to be stored in the array. And then the second line, you just accessed the 3 values that are stored in the array. Oh, now if I ask you, okay, this is fine, this is very good. And then now so this 12, 13, and 14, they come together, right? So whenever you have, let's say you have a pointer to 12, then you can also go to 13 and 14, right? Because they are located inside the same data structure. For that matter, if you have a pointer to 14, you could also go back to 12 and 13, because again, the same thing, they are inside the same data structure. Okay, this is good, this is very good, in fact, because now you could accumulate stuff together and give it a single name. So what is the single name given to this accumulation of integers? That name is array, right? Using this name, you could access this accumulation of integers, which is 3 integers. Now if I ask you to create, so this is like you have created now you could actually think of it as like it's an accumulation of 3 integers. You could think of this array as in this abstract sense of having 3 integers together, which might mean something for you in the program. Now if I ask you to create a similar accumulation, but not with integers only, I would say I want an integer, a string, and a character together in an accumulation. Do you guys understand my question? So I'm asking you to put 3 things together now. Instead of 3 integers, I am asking you to put 3 different things together. I am asking you to put an integer, I'm asking you to put a character, and I'm asking you to put a string together in one accumulation. So I'm calling the array an accumulation now because this array can hold 3 integers together, right? It can accumulate and keep it in one, in contiguous locations. Now I am asking you to do this, to come up with this kind of accumulation, wherein I can store a character, I can store a number followed by character followed by string as an accumulation, as a single unit. Is this possible? First of all, is this possible in an array?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
No, it's not possible, right? It cannot be, because array has this limitation that says arrays can have only one type of data inside it. It cannot have more than one type of data. It can either be it doesn't matter how many you have. There's no limitation on the size of an array, but there is limitation on the type of the data. It can only hold one type of data. So that means you need some other you need some other construct, right, to come up with this logical accumulation. So that is this void is filled by this thing called a structure. structure Structure helps you to create a logical accumulations of data types, which is also called derived data type, right? You can create a new data type. Now you would ask me, why am I calling struct a derived data type, right? Struct is also a data structure. So again, derived data types and data structure are the same thing. So if I want to create a logical accumulation of data types, which may not be of the same type, if it is of same type, then I am good with arrays. Arrays can help me on that front. If my accumulation demands that all the data stored in that accumulation is of the same type, then arrays are fine. But if they are not of the same type, if they are of different type, then I need the struct concept or the struct syntax, right? So if I want to do the same thing now, if I want to do the same, if I want to create the accumulation now, as I was describing, how would I do this? So this is where I am explaining the the syntax of the structure. So you just say struct. Just now just try and draw an analogy between this array and the struct. Just like you have said, see, for array, you don't have to explicitly say it's an array, right? This square brackets gives it that meaning. But for struct, you have to say it's a struct. After that, you have to write. Okay. Yeah. So you have to give it a name basically. So let's say I say it's called an accumulation, and then you do this. And then what are the data types that you want? We want an integer. Let's say it a num. Then what do you want? We want a character. Let's say it's ch. And then what do you want? We want a string. What do I say? How do I represent string? We say string. And then you give it some, let's say you give it some size, right? So what did these lines do? These lines created an accumulation, right? It's created a structure of three members. Now these things, right, which I was talking about, that character int, they are also called structure members. It created a structure on three members, and these members are an integer, a character, and a name, or which is a string. Sorry, not a name, it's a string. It's a character array. Now this is called a structure definition. I have not created a variable out of this. Remember this, guys. I have just told my compiler that accumulation is this name, right? This name. This is a structure which contains these three smaller data types inside it. I have just told it has not been allocated any memory in the program space yet, because this is just a declaration. This particular thing, right? This is similar to writing. The equivalent would be similar to writing an int. That's it. Just like the way you write int, all these lines here corresponds to just this thing. Does this int? Until and unless you declare a variable, there is no existence of this structure. Remember that. This is just a declaration. Is this point clear? You can type yes, no. Okay, yeah. Okay, so so now I want to create a variable out of it, right? I want to create, just like I can create a variable out of an integer. I can create a variable out of this as well. So I have already explained this to you before also. So how do I do this? I say struct. I write the name of the struct as it is. Remember, if there is a spelling mistake, it won't work. And then I say what is the variable name. So let's call it X. So this line, this single line, it has created an area in my memory, in my program's memory, that contains this data structure or this data type, derived data type. It has created a space. How big would be the space? Tell me. How big would be the space? This is an important question, because this question very frequently pops up in exams. So let's do one thing. Let's just calculate the size of, remember this operator, guys, size of. Yeah. So you can put any data type inside size of, in fact, and you will get the size of that data type. So let's see what is the size of X. Let's see. Let's verify. 16. Yeah, we can use that also. That's fine. We can use size of X as well. Why was it 16? So let's count it, guys. So this is 4, this is 1, and what is this? 10. Okay. Yeah, sorry, it's 11. So that comes to 16. 16, yeah, that's 16. So all that you have to do is to count the size of a struct. You just take the individual members and add up the size of each. Yeah, since a character array, there will be backslash 0. Yeah. So you just add, yeah. So this is 11, guys. Yeah, this might be a trick question at points because you see a 10 here, right? But the actual size is 11 because, yeah. So we'll look into that way. So just remember that whenever someone asks you what is the size of a struct, you just add up the individual members, and that's the size of the struct. Let's do one thing. Let's now, if someone is asking me, right, how is it 11? So I also don't know how it's 11. So what we can do is we can find out the size of the individual. Let's first try to find out the size of the individual members, right? I'll come to that, Hardik. Wait. So yeah, so as a question, the question that came up was how is it 11? Now I want to know the size of each of these members, right? And then we would know for sure, right, what is the total size by just finding the sum of each by finding the size of each member. Okay, for us to do that, we have to have a way of accessing each member of the structure, right? How do I access each member of the structure? To do that, there is something called an access operator. So how do I do that? I just say X. Now, yeah, you remember, you cannot to use the access operator, you have to use the variables. You have to use the variable structure, and you have to use X. You cannot use this X. You cannot use the name of the struct to access. To access a member variable, you need a struct variable. Yeah, you guys get this concept, right? I cannot just say, for example, I cannot just say struct accumulation dot num. I cannot do this because this particular part here, this does not have any physical significance. It's just a name. It has not been allocated any memory. Who has been allocated memory? X has been allocated memory because X is the variable of that. X is the variable of the structure. That's why I can do X dot num, because if I do this right, then I go first in this part, I go to X's memory, and when I say dot num, I go to the memory that is holding num. So remember this, guys. Whenever you want to access struct variables, struct members, in this example, we just want to know the size. So you cannot use the struct name to access the member variables. You have to use the structure variable because the struct name does not have any physical significance. It does not own memory. The struct variable, that which is X in this case, that owns memory, not the name of the structure. So let's
So
just,
basically, X is like acting as an object which is accessing all the members.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so now let us print the individual sizes of each of the member variables. Okay, it's still 10, 1, and 4. So that's strange. Why is it 15? No, it's not. It's not that. It's not that. Let's look at this, guys. Let's look at this size of thing at the very end again when I have to, when I will have time. But for as of now, first you have to add the three variables. Why are we getting an extra one? I'll look into that later on. May we have a pointer of x? Okay, let's do that. Someone wants to do this. Let's keep it to 2. Okay, fine. Okay, that will not work. I will have to put the final. Yes. Okay, let me put the size of x here instead of using the name always. Okay, let's do this. Yes, again, there is a +1, right? There is a +1, remember, guys. Okay, do you guys really want to know what is why from where is the +1 coming? Okay, we would waste some time, but let's try to figure out. So tell me, what is the way to figure out? No, it's +1 now. Why? Because in this case also 4 plus 3 7, and then total size came up to 8, right? Okay, guys want me to try this as well. Then I have to remove this declaration also, right? Okay, let's do one thing. I'll quickly comment this out. What should be the size now? 5, right? Okay, that's strange. Why is it 8? Yeah, yes, she's telling something exactly. So that is what is happening. But then for me to explain that, I have to go into a lot of details. Yeah, the size is 8. That's a very good observation of what happened. Yes. So do you guys see this? Whenever I was doing this, again I am seeing. Let's change it to only an int. Let's see what happens now. Okay, then it's 4. Okay, now if I do 5, what happens? So Yash, can you read out what the Stack Overflow says on this? Let me just go there. Wait, I cannot go.
So
Yes.
it is written that it needs 3 bytes of padding.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, why does 8 pad? Yes. So this is very good observation actually. So what happens is, uh, I guess your structure has to be aligned on a memory. This is called memory alignment. Now, oh, how should I explain to you guys? Have you ever heard this term before, memory alignment?
So is it that the memory should be multiple of 8?
It's something like that exactly. It should be multiple of some number. So let's try and do
So it
this.
should be multiple of 4, right? Because when we declared just one int variable, it was 4.
Yes, let's see that. Let's see that. Okay, so give me a multiple of 4 that should come up if you add these 3 things. So what is it? It's 2 plus 1, 3. That's 7, right? So if I make this 3, then it should come up to 8, right?
I mean, this should come up to 9, shouldn't it, sir? I
No,
mean, 4, 1,
that's
4.
3.
That's a 9. No,
That's
but would it not also add another null character, sir? Would it not count that?
No, it does not add that null character.
Okay, sure, sure, sure.
Null character is when you are declaring strings, right?
Sure, okay, sir.
Now it does not hold a string, right?
Okay, sir, okay.
Yeah. So if you just add it up, what does it say? It's 3 plus 1 plus 4, right? So this is 8. So in this case, since it's a divisible by 4, it should not go to 9 now. That's what our claim is, right? That's what our hypothesis is. Yeah, see, it ended with 8. That means it has to be I think it has to be divisible by 2, not 4, right? So let's do one thing. Let's do one thing. Let's create so what is a data type that has a structure that has a size of 2 bytes?
Shortened.
Yeah, short int. So if I say short int, I should get 2. I should not get 4. See, I got 2. Right? So this is, yeah, I mean, yeah, this is an important revelation, guys. I mean, we worked it out good. So that means your structure has to be aligned on a memory address. So what do you mean by alignment on a memory address? That means just if you have, let's say you have one structure placed in memory, that structure cannot be placed in an odd address. It always has to be placed in an even address.
So, but why then 6 is not being taken
Yes.
when we take 1 and 4?
Are you sure it's not taking?
No, sir.
It directly told 8.
So int and char.
Did you try that?
Yes, sir. We just tried that.
Okay,
So
so
is there any other non-character
No,
variable
just a
that takes
char.
1 byte?
Single character.
Yeah, let's try this then.
let's try this now. This is also size 6, right? Yeah, it came to 6.
So try an int and a char too, sir, I guess. I mean, if that's the one that's.
Okay, then it will come to 8, right? We have already tried this.
So not this.
Not an array, sir, just the character, single.
You mean to say this?
No, sir. Remove the array, sir. Just a single character, name and an integer.
And then what? An integer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came to 8 now. Because it is what? It is 4 plus 1, 5, right? 5 is not, what is the
Yes,
next?
sir. 6, I guess, sir.
Okay. Then it skipped to 4, right? It skipped by 3 and then it went to 8.
Yes, I mean, I don't remember.
Okay,
Okay, so I think what's happening here is I think they have to be powers of 2, not exactly divisible
No,
by
I
2.
think, sir, in that case, it was short int, and that, so there was the highest storage was 2. That's why it was in multiples of 2. Here the highest storage is of int, so it should be in multiples of 4, I guess.
Try long then, I guess.
Okay, that's what you guys are saying, right? So the size of the longest data type is what the factor is. That's what you were saying, right?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Let's see. Let's work this out now. Unsigned int, unsigned long. Okay, just put it as long. Long, let's say X, and then we have a character to just add it. Character Z. Okay, so what should it come to? So long is what? 8 plus 1, 9, right?
So I think it should be 16 now.
Let's see. Yes, you are exactly correct. Yeah. It skips by the size of the largest data type inside the struct. Good.
So does it do that? So in case if one is float and other is like shortened, then it can convert it into float.
So there's no, I mean, this is not a problem of the type of the data. It's a problem with the size of the data, right? If both of them are the same size, float is what? 4 bytes, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you put 4 here, let's see, it should go up to 8 now. If like this conclusion is correct, float. Yeah, it went to 8.
Sir,
because float is 4.
Is it doing so because it has it can do implicit typecasting?
No, it's not doing typecasting. There is no typecasting happening here.
I mean, it has room to do that.
Why would it do typecasting? Here, typecasting only happens when you are using different data types within an expression. Then typecasting happens. but this is not an expression here, right? It's just a declaration. See what was happening. I think what's happening internally is you have declared a float here, right? So then how would the structure be placed in memory? If I show you the book, wait, the book has a nice figure for this. Let's give me one moment. Can you see the screen? Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if you see the book here, just look at this. So this is how a structure gets placed in memory. All the variables are placed one after another. So in this case, you see, right, there is an integer here. So the integer will occupy the first four values. And then the next, these values, then the next, whatever the name length plus one would be by the next variable, next member variable. And then, yeah, similar things for the other variables as well. So in our example, so the first 4 bytes would be of this variable x, and then the second, then the fifth byte would be for this character z, and then now you ended up with a size 5, right? But this 5 is not aligned as per what our conclusion was. It's not aligned to this data type. So that means we have to add three more bytes to make it an even to make it divisible by the size of the biggest data type, and that's why that extra padding is happening. But then there is no data in that extra area, extra storage. It's just like padded with zeros. That's all. Always that extra area in structures are padded with zeros. That's what the book says, and but the book did not say anything about this particular thing about padding. That's a good thing we found out. Yeah. So is this clear, guys? I think it should be clear since we worked it out. Yeah. Why does it have to be divisible by what?
The longest data type is long.
That's a very good question. So why should it be done? Why should it be doing that? So what would have happened if it would not have been this case? Let's say the size would have been still 5. What would be the implication of that? Can you just think of the implication? What would happen? See, what I am guessing from this is, let's say you ended up with a structure that has a size of a 5. So what would happen in that case is all the I mean, then you would not just place a single data structure, right, in your program. Maybe you would have more variables with different data types or different data structures. Those variables will also not get aligned, maybe somehow. See, it has something to do with this access thing, actually, this access operator, right? This particular operator, x dot something. Somehow this has to be aligned on some memory boundary, and this alignment is
So
yeah.
So what I think will happen is like in the case with pointers, we saw that if we had p plus I, so it does p plus the size of the data type into I. So
that's
if in this
that's
case,
good.
if it was 5, it will be very difficult for the compiler to decide from this place where should I go to next.
Oh, okay, this happens when you want to move inside the structure, right? You are saying you want to use a pointer to move inside the structure, right?
Yes, so it will be difficult for the compiler, right? So that is why what I think it does is like it sees that the biggest data type is of 4, so it will assign from 0 to 4 to float, and then it will skip 3, and then the fourth one will be assigned to character, so that it can use the same padding for pointing to variables.
Okay, okay. But let's do one thing here. Okay, as you are saying this, let's try this what you were saying. Can you try that?
Try shortened by maybe.
No, no, let's keep it this only. Let's not. Let's not change anything. So is the discussion making sense to every one of you? So by this exercise also we will get to know, we will work out the structure dynamics.
So you could also try using the addresses, I guess. I mean,
I'll do
addresses
that. Wait.
difference.
I'll do that. Wait. Yeah. So first, let's get hold of the first member variable, right? The address of the first variable. So for that, I have to first create a variable of this struct. Let's call it S, right? So then, okay. So tell me what pointer should I use now to get hold of the address of the first variable, member variable?
S dot.
So this is the address.
So should you not place brackets around? Okay, I think it should be fine. I mean, does the dot operator have higher precedence than the?
Always dot operator has the highest precedence.
Okay, sir.
If you are placing it in an expression, right? That is the highest precedence.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. S dot x is a way to access x. I'm trying to access this variable here, a member variable that is located inside. Ian is asking this part, right? So this part says I want within this variable. So since struct is a it's a derived data type, right? It has a smaller variables inside it. So x dot so s dot that variable name will get me to the location of that variable inside the structure. So now I want to print the address. Okay, let's get the address of all the three. In fact, yeah, that's the right answer. Yeah. What is the answer you asking? It's what is x dot x question mark? Okay, anyways, you figure that out later on. Let me just write it. So the second variable would be z, and the third variable would
It should be char pointer.
Yeah, I know. I'll change it. Wait, I remember. I get it. X dot y, right? So the second would be character pointers. Let's see what are the addresses. Let's use percentile d. That's fine. Right? As okay, p0, p1, p2. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So what do we see?
I don't think
So the
so.
last
Doing the
one.
padding, I guess. Then
It's not because see when you go from this to this, right? There is the size of 1, and then yeah, there's no padding happening here.
No, then
Padding happens at the very end actually. See, when you are trying to walk on the variables, right, inside a structure, there is no padding there between the variables. Padding is at the end. Padding is after this 5. Finally, final 3 are left free. What do you mean the final 3? Oh, this is 4, and this is 5, 6, yeah, 7, 8, yeah. Final 2 spaces in the structure left free, and there is no address for that. Yeah. So do you guys see this? This addresses, see this starts at 0, and then the second character starts at 4. That means the first member variable was of size 4. Then the third variable, which is of character, it starts at 5, which is just 1 greater than this address. So they are placed contiguously. There is no padding between the variables. The padding happens at the end. Let's see what the padding looks like. Let's see what is stored there. How can I find out what is there in the padding? Tell me.
I mean, so add 1 or 2 to the last address, I guess.
Exactly. Let's do this. Let's find out what is stored there. P2 plus 1. This is fine, right? The P2 is the address of this last character, isn't it? So if I just say plus 1, I will go to the first padding. So let's see what is located there, and let's see if you are allowed to access that variable, that memory. Yeah, see, there's a 0 stored there. So all the other bytes, right? Whatever is there, everything would be storing a 0. How many bytes are left? Tell me how many bytes are left for padding? It's 2 bytes, right? Not 4 bytes, not 3 bytes. Because this is 2 and this is 4, 6, 7, 8, right? Only 2 bytes. So let's see what is the other. Yeah, see, we got 2 padding. So now let's try and move beyond this memory. That is beyond the memory for S. Let's try and move one more step. Now we are out of the struct. If I go one more step, I am making this very detailed here. So P2 plus 3. Now here we are out of the structure, right? This is not other structure's memory, because the structure memory ended here, because this was what, 2, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, and then this is the 7th, is more than 8. So let's see what we get now. Okay, we are still getting zeros. I don't know why we are getting zeros. We shouldn't be getting
One last
zeros.
case. So try just using in long instead of the float one. I want to see if the padding is changed. Is it happening at the still happening at the end? Precisely.
The padding will happen in the end. That's,
Like you said.
oh sorry, yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So if we change the order and we write char C, double D, and int S, then I guess like it will be padded in between something. I shared the link, sir.
Wait. Let us first figure this out. I know what you're asking, but then these addresses are in negative. So let's put it in hex and C. Okay, now tell me what is the difference between this and this? It's 8, right? There's no padding here. And then 8 and 9, 1. There's no padding. So whoever was asking, there's no padding. Yes, yeah, so, oh yeah, so someone had to say something. Can you repeat what you were saying?
Sir,
Yeah, tell me what you want to say. Yeah. What
sir,
should I write here?
I shared a link. In that it is written, if we write, first of all, we write char C,
Yes, let's do
then
that.
double D, and then int S.
Double, okay, let's say double, and then int.
And then it shows that one character size, that is 1, plus 7 byte of padding, plus size of double, plus size of int.
Okay, let's see. Let's figure this. I mean, when we print it, we will know now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first is now a character, right? What is the second one? It's a double. What is double? Double is 8 bytes, isn't it?
So you'll have to also exchange X and Z. Right here.
Oh, what did I do? Why did I do?
No, so just keep that there. So just in the so this
Z X. Zero, 8, and what is this? Okay, you guys are confused with this hex notations, right?
So can you change it in the integer form?
No, but if you put in integer, negative values will
Please
come up.
store it in long int, LD or something.
That's also not the case. Let's put it in unsigned unsigned ints. Now tell me what's the difference. Just look at the last values. Now everything is same, right?
Yes, sir.
What is this? Let's calculate. Let's just use the calculator.
Yes, sir. This is
Difference of 8, sir.
This 2 is differing by 8, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and
Even though
second
that
and
was
third are
cat
also differencing by 8.
And this is differencing by
8. This was double.
okay. This was double, and then
This one was
yeah.
So this is what I was trying to say, that
Sir, I shared a link. It is very
So does
clearly
it
given in
depend
that.
on the order? Maybe in the variable declaration in the struct, we place the double in. Maybe I don't know. Maybe differs, I guess.
This is quite getting tricky actually. So we have to figure this out. What do you mean by that?
So
Yeah, I know this concept is there. I mean, I just didn't read about it. This is called structure packing. How do you pack a structure into memory? And structure packing and padding, I mean, they come together. So these things that we are discussing is on structure packing. Yeah, so it requires a lot involved discussions, guys. I mean, once I read it, I'll get it, and then again I can explain it to you. Maybe not today. Just try to ask sir this doubt in the next class. Okay, just remember this. But anyways, to be on the safe side, I think that logic should work. I mean, in this case, what should be the size of the struct? Tell me. Is it matching to what we discussed?
8, 13, 16. So it should be 16.
What did it come out to be? Did anyone see what is the size of the structure in this case? It's 24.
What the fuck?
It is not 16 because this padding was happening right between these two. So there is 8 plus 16, and then well, this is getting confusing. Wait. Guys, I'll do one thing. Wait, let's not waste more time here. So I will read this and then I'll explain it to you guys. Is that fine?
So then I think the order of
Yeah, sir.
declaration also
Matters
plays a role,
probably.
I guess.
Yes, sir. Maybe we could try one more thing, I guess.
You guys can try it from your
structure.
side also, right? And let me know.
Yes, sir. So
Just write it from your side and let me know. Till then, I'll try and make sense out of this. What is they trying to say? Oh, I get it now. Yeah. Just write your programs and then whatever you are suggesting me to do, you do it yourself and let me know what do you get. Yeah, I'm not reading the chat, guys, now. So yeah, you can speak up. This is good. This is good. Yeah. Are you guys done? Whoever was typing the program? Let's waste some time. Do you guys have class today after 11?
No, sir. I don't think so.
No, sir.
I mean, so try changing the variable declaration altogether.
So,
Just that.
can we leave this size of thing for the next class? We will also do some research from our end and then we can discuss.
Okay, just one thing. Wait, someone was
Yes,
asking me. Yeah, just this one thing, and then we will leave this. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So just change the just put the char between the double and the int, or after the int. I mean, I guess.
I think I've got the answer to this. Do you guys want to hold it to the next class?
I mean,
Yes,
so
sir.
we usually lose focus till the next class. Everything's forgotten.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, if you get the answer, you can say.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, sir.
I think I got it, but then let me verify it once. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me now. What do you want me to do?
Nothing more, sir. That's it. Just changing the order in the
Oh,
struct
okay.
one.
So
That's
all these
it.
things,
Yeah, the
things
printf
stay as it is,
could
right?
also take the same. So the second printer. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but then I've changed some names here. Is it?
No, I don't think so, sir. You just change the order.
No, I've changed
Oh
my.
no, CH, yeah.
I keep on changing these things. I don't know why.
No, it's okay beside that, sir.
Double, right? The things are same, right? Characters.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's do this and see what happens. What are you getting? Tell me the difference.
This is different. There's a difference of 2, and there's a difference of 2, and then there's a difference of 4.
Okay, so you are saying the difference of 2 is between these two, right?
Yeah.
And then there is a difference of
Sorry,
4
eight,
here.
8. Sorry. Difference of 8 between the first two, and the difference of 12. I think, sir, the things are outside of order here. Wait, 8,
Okay,
4,
you are seeing
and
the answer.
8,
Okay.
4, sir. 8, 4, and the last address is not the one. Not.
Okay.
I
See,
guess the
yeah,
padding
yeah.
isn't working that well there. Yes, sir. 8,
I'll
4, and the cow one isn't printed, I guess.
yes. So yeah. So let's hear out my answer. Maybe this should work. Okay. So let's assume. So what is the padding like in this case? So yeah. So let's put it in the other way. How was it before? As someone was just saying me, right?
Yes, sir. It was 8, 8, 8, I guess. 8 or 8. The difference was
No.
8 and 8, I
What
guess.
was the order?
So
It was
char,
Order.
double,
character,
and
right?
then int.
Yeah.
Character.
Double hint.
Okay, good. So hear out my theory, guys. So this is what it is. I think so.
So double x.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. So now let's assume that our structure has been loaded from memory address 0, right? Okay. So that means, sorry, not memory address 0, let's say memory address 1, right? Sorry, let's put it at 0, that will be simple. So yeah, so if this structure is loaded at address 0, so what should this be loaded at? Tell me. I mean, assume there is no
9.
padding.
8.
1.
Array 1, how can it be 8?
1.
Before this, there is only 1, right? 1 byte. So this means this will be loaded at 1, right? You guys agree, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
At what address will this be loaded now? Tell me.
9.
If
9.
there is no padding, 9.
9.
Now, whoever was asking to skip this, now he will know like what kind of thing that we found out today. We discovered it, by the way. So now see what happens. Are these addresses acceptable? Tell me.
No, sir.
Without padding.
Without padding, yes.
I guess.
No, I have written these addresses without padding, right? But are these addresses acceptable to the to your loader or to your compiler?
No, sir.
Why?
Because 1 byte is occupied by the car, and then the double needs 8 bytes. So 7 bytes won't be able to.
No, that's fine now. See, character needs 1 byte, right? So I have given it 1 byte. After that, I have started with the address 1 now. Assume your memory goes from address 0 to address 10, let's say. Okay, the first block you have allocated Z for the first block, right? So then the second block starts at 1. So the double starts from 1, it goes all the way up to 8, right? So that's where the double ends. And then the int starts at 9. So these are the starting addresses, right, of these member variables 0, 1, and 9. So without padding, this is what your structure, what your addresses would have been without padding. My question is, are these addresses acceptable?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why no? Whoever is saying no.
So because if address 0 will be supposed to say even, then address 1 will become odd. But
Okay.
in that, whenever we type addresses, we always get even numbers.
That's one thing. You're partly right. The exact answer is, what is the size of a double? Tell me. The size of a double is 8 bytes. 8 bytes, isn't it? That means whatever data type you have, that has to be aligned at that address. That it has to be a factor of that. So double is of size 8, right? So the addresses of double in your computer would always be multiple of 8.
Okay.
The addresses of int in your computer will always be multiples of 4.
4.
Okay.
The address of characters will always be a multiple of 1. Do you guys get me? Now you can figure out all your padding or whatever your size is. This is why that's why the order will also matter, because the order is how the assignments will, the memory assignments would happen, right? So since we have to make this aligned at 8, so we have to give it 0 to 7, and then it will start from 8. Right? And then this will go up all the way up to 16, and then we have to give it what?
20.
20. See, now the final size is 24, that's why. Good, it was a good exercise. Do you guys get it now?
Yes, sir.
So just try to work out the type of the data and what is the size. Always doubles. Remember this, whatever size of that data type is, it has to be aligned on that address only. Doubles has to be a factor of 8, int has to be a factor of 4, character has to be a factor of 1. Okay? So just work out your structure packing, and then you can say how many padding you need in between, so that the addresses get aligned properly.
Sir, why int is not 16?
Sorry?
Why is int not 16 and 20?
Double is 8 bytes, so the 16 one is occupied by double.
Because 8 to 15 is double, sir. So 16 to 19 should be int.
Okay, but then you would end up with an address of 19, right? Again, 19 would be an odd address.
But size.
20, we will end up with 20 to 23.
Yes.
No, sir. 16. 16 to 19 would be int. So the size of struct would be 20 in that case.
Okay, so what did we get actually, the answers here? What were the sizes? I mean, what were the addresses? Sorry. What is the difference now?
Yeah,
Here?
Mukund is right.
So 8 and 8.
Okay, and then?
Again 8.
Okay, then their padding between this is 8, right? And then here it's 8. Did it start at, I mean, there was no padding, right, between the double and int?
No, sir. In this
Okay.
case.
Okay, then that's fine, right? I mean, because eventually, I think your structure should also be, I mean, whatever your size of the structure is, right? What did it end up with? It ended up with 20. Again, I think that also has to be a factor of something.
So 16 is a factor of 4, so it is working properly, your logic. 16 is also a factor of 4.
Yeah,
so int can be stored at 16.
And it is stored actually, right? There
Huh.
is no padding between the double and int.
Yes,
That's for sure. But then why is there is an extra padding also at the end of that member variables?
And then it will be multiple of 14. So why is there an extra padding at the end, sir?
Yeah, let's address that in the next class. At least now you know, right, between structure how the padding happens between the member variables. But then there is some padding at the end also. You have to figure that out. Why is there an ending padding at the end as well? But at least you can figure out the addresses, right, of the member variables now using this logic.
So maybe we should continue with the structure part.
Yeah. So yeah, at least this is correct as per what this page says here. This is what they are also saying. So just remember this.
Sir, in the structure C part, it is given.
Where?
If you scroll down, structure C, the last line.
Oh, what does it say? What does it say quickly?
It is because along with the structure member, structure type variables will also have natural alignment.
And what is that alignment?
उसके नीचे लिखा, let us understand it by an example.
Okay, there's a lot of involvement here. Let's not go there. There's a lot of involved discussion here. See, it depends on your sometimes on your machines also, 32-bit machine or 4 bytes. So yeah, at least you know how the difference between how the structure will be packed, right, between the variables. At the end, there will be some padding. For that, you just read it. I mean, so she has put in the chat. Maybe read that particular text, and you'll get it. But between variables, the padding happens as I have explained. There's no ambiguity in that for sure. Let's continue. Yeah. I will come to this, guys. I mean, maybe in a later class, or maybe when sir takes this class next time. I'll just ask him. I will give him a heads up that he will explain you this thing properly. But we went a lot involved in the discussion today, which you don't need actually. Okay, let's move ahead, guys, quickly. So we have discussed structure variables. We have declared accessing variables at length. I told you, yeah, the member variable accessed using a dot operator. Yeah. So how do you initialize structures? So again, syntax details. So just like you can initialize arrays, right? How do you initialize arrays? Guys, we are past that discussion now, so we can do this later on. I mean, in the next class maybe. I will also read up and then I will have some more clarity. So you can do this, right? So this is how you declare arrays. Sorry, you have initialized arrays using this curly braces, and then you say whatever the size of the array is. Similarly, for structures, you can do the similar declarations. So just write the type of the data. That's it. So in this case, there would be, let's say, a, and then double would be, let's say, 12 point something, and then int will be, let's say, 67. So that this is it. So just like you initialize arrays using curly brace, you can initialize structure variables using this curly braces. But then just remember, the order of the initialization should be exactly the order in which the variables are placed inside the structure. If you I mean, if the order is wrong, then you won't get an error, I think, but then you would end up storing the wrong data in the wrong variable, and then your data would go for a toss. I mean, the value of the data would go for a toss. What is the other way to put the data inside the structure? The other way is simply to use the dot operator. So you can directly say z equals to a, and then you can say x. Sorry, not x. Yeah, another thing, guys, here. So this is valid. You can say x dot x. This is fine. Sorry, you can say 12 point something, and then x dot y equals to 10. This is because now see, why I said this was fine is because you have a structure of x and you have a member variable also of type x. So is this allowed? So let us first see if this is allowed in C. Yeah, this is allowed. There is no issue. But then what is not allowed is you cannot have two members of the same name. Just remember this. You cannot have two members having the same name. Why? Because then there is a big ambiguity, right, in your program when you access it. If you say x dot x now, which x are you accessing? You don't know which x. I mean, yeah, I mean, I've confused you with the name. So let's call it C, or let's call it stx. So if you have a structure variable called stx, and you do this stx.x, since you have two variables with the same name, member variables, your compiler will simply know which you are trying to access, and then it will show an error. But what is okay is, so let's put it back to Z. What is okay is you can have one more structure here. So let's call it structure something. And that structure could have the same name as X. There is no issue. You could have these three names as it is inside this structure as well. Right? So why is this valid is because now if you have two things, right? You have two variables, one of this type and one of this type. Now when you want to access X, let's say the type of this variable is called, let's say it's called str1, and the type of this structure is called str2, right? So when you want to access this X, you say str1.x, and then when you want to access this X, that is this X, you say str2.x. See, now there is a clear differentiation, right, between these two X. If you just read this entire thing together, there is a clear difference. That's why you could have the same names of variables, but inside different structure. But inside the same structure, you cannot have the same variable name. Is this clear? Well, all of you guys have gone on mute suddenly. Okay. So that's what your initialization of structures is. And then let's quickly talk about operations on structure. So what can you do with structures? What kind of operations can you perform on structures? See, you can perform all the operations that you can perform on normal data types, right? So let's say you want to once you have gotten hold of an individual data type here, right? Let's say you have gotten hold of z using x.z. Now you can do any operation that you want to do on a character using this, because this thing is just a character. It's just inside a structure. That's a different thing. But then for each member variable, once you get hold of the member variable, you could do all the operations that you can perform on that variable. There's nothing special about that. Or the only thing special is like it is embedded inside a structure. That's it. So what I meant to say is, you can see for an integer, right? You can simply do plus plus. So you can do a plus plus for this. No one is going to complain, right? You can do this. This perfectly valid, because y is an integer type of variable. A very good thing is about structures, like one of the nicest thing is, let's say you have declared two variables. Let's say this, you have declared two variables of the same structure. You have declared stx1 and you have declared stx2, and let's say you have put these values here, 13, right? Now see, you have not x, stx1, 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 yeah. Okay, so now you have initialized the values of stx1, but stx2 is not initialized. But you want to initialize stx2 with the same value as stx1. So what do? You just say stx2 equals to stx1. What would happen in this line is, there would be a member to member copy. That is, each member from this structure would be copied to, that is, each member from this structure would be copied to this one. Now after this line, stx2 and stx1 would have the same value. Why? Now how? If you want to see that, let's do this. stx2, stx1, print they are equal. Okay, in this case I did something, I just have to use some variable maybe. Yeah. Let's do this. Yeah, see, they are equal. That means what happened is, all the variables from this went to that. Like all the variables from here were copied into the empty, these variables got initialized with the same value as stx1. Now using this concept, you can do a nice trick. Let's say, okay, I'll just comment this part out here. So now let's say you have, I'll quickly finish it in the next 10-15 minutes. So let's say you have an array of 10, let's say you have an array of 5 values, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. You have another array, that is array 2, of 5 values. Now I want to copy these values into this array. That is, that the values inside array 1, I want to copy it to array 2. How do I do that? Can you reply fast?
With the for loop.
Using for loop.
Using for loop. There is no other way, right? Using for loop, or you just write the assignments manually. You have to do this manually. Array of 1, 0 equals to array of 2, 0, right? You have to do this 5 times for each index. What is the trick to do this? The trick to do this would be, make this array part of the structure. Because as I told, structures can have any data type inside, right? So array can also be a data type. Let me make it a new, let's call it ARR. Now you have a structure, and inside the structure there is an array now. right? So all that you have to do now is, what do you have to do? You have to say struct. Now I'm saying you populate these values. I mean, these values, you hold it inside this array, which is inside the structure, not in an array which is just floating around. Now you just declare a variable of this type x, right? And how do you initialize? Tell me. Can I use the same initialization? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this fine, guys? I also don't know. Let us see if it is fine. I think it will complain. No, it did not complain. Good. So now you do one more step here. What do you have to do is struct array. You create one more array y, and all that you have to do is you just have to say y equals to x. Now let's verify this. Let's just print two values. That's fine. Let's print y. How do I access the array? Tell me fast, guys. You can type, but anyways, y dot arr2 1. So what value should I see? 1 and 2. Oh, should be array 1. See, I see in 1 and 2. I didn't use an array. I didn't use a loop, but then still the arrays got copied. How? Because I have embedded the arrays inside a structure, and I can equate the structures, right? I'm not equate as in I can just use an assignment operator to assign the values of one structure to another structure. So in using this logic, I just copied an array by just a single statement without using any for loop. So this is a trick to do some array copying.
So when we initialize array,
yeah,
shouldn't there be two curly brackets, two sets of curly brackets?
Where? Here? You mean to say
when
here?
Initializing? Yes.
Here,
Sir.
right?
First set will be of structure, and then it will be of array.
Okay, let us see that. I mean, I think that's an error, but I don't know. That may not be an error also. Yeah, that's not an error. See, because it has only one variable, right? So let's do this. If there is one more variable, let's say there is a character as well. Okay. So now if you just use a single curly brace, let's see if it works. Still it works. See, what happens is, yeah, so the structure would automatically infer the type of the data which will be going. So now if you want to put the structure, if you want to initialize the character, let's say you say this. Now let's see if this thing will work. See, this will still work. So your compiler will automatically figure out that there are these values, right? These values will go to this place, and then this one will go to this place. Another logical way to think it is this. The structure, I mean, when the loader will load these values right into the structure's memory, it will simply take these values and load it like one after another. It doesn't have to know like what is where. It will just take these values and load it, right? And then automatically it will get assigned to that name, because the loading will happen as you have put it in these curly braces. And then since the first 5 values are coming from an array, then automatically these 5 values will be assigned to this array, and then this C will be assigned to this character, because that's how they are being loaded in the structure. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now there is a small subtlety here. So if I don't initialize C, I mean, see, I have 2 variables, member variables, right? But then I have just initialized the character. I mean, only the array. The character is uninitialized. The uninitialized values, there is no error here. The uninitialized member variables remain as 0. They will just not be initialized. That's it. There will be memory assigned to them, but then that memory will be filled with zeros. You can verify this. Let's quickly verify, because sometimes they ask this question. If I just do this, and then if I print, let's say if I print x dot, yeah, again, I have this very
Sir,
bad
use
habit of,
%c.
oh, it's a space because it's a 0. Now you cannot see anything there, right? It's not a printable character, right? That's why I used a D, so that you can see the value of the character. See, it's a 0 because the character is not initialized. That's why. So the uninitialized member variables stay as 0. Remember that always. I think so. We can compare. We can do a member variable to member variable comparison for a structure. That's what I tried before. See, what the question. I know what the question that Anurag is asking is, if I want to see if both the structures are equal, can I just say if this is equal to this, if this structure is equal to this structure? I think this is, you cannot do this, because what is happening here is, you cannot sorry, you cannot automatically just compare these two values to the two structures member to member. This is not going to, it happens in some other languages, it happens in Python, or for that matter in Java also it happens, but then in C you cannot do this. You have to do a member to member comparison. You have to say if this is equal to this. If you want to see if both the structures are equal for all the members, then you have to say, and you have to use an and operator, and then you have to say stx2 dot this one, the other member variable, is it equal to the stx1 dot that other member variable. You have to use and to check if the structures, all the variables are equal to each other. Is that clear? Yeah.
So can we compare the arrays by just writing strx1 dot arr1 is equal str?
Let's see that. That's a good question. So let's see that. We have already initialized them, right? Str. Yeah, you want to do this, right?
Yes, sir. Because in general we can't compare arrays like this.
Yeah, I know. No, this is something. Is it line number 19? What is line number 19? I have made some other mistake. Is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, shit, yeah. Oh, I have to rename this, right? STX1 and STX2. This is the pain in writing the programs in real time, actually. You end up with these silly mistakes.
So we do not have the accumulations right now, so we need to do.
You don't need this part, right? Good. I think it happened. But then they are not equal. Why are they not equal?
The character is not initialized. So
Let's do one thing. Let's remove the character now. Who wants the character? See, this thing did not happen. This equal to. Even though there was no complaint from the compiler, but then this equal to assignment did not happen. I think somehow, I mean, this is valid, but then
Can you try by putting 0 in the square bracket?
Sir, maybe we have print the pointers of the arrays.
Wait. That's a very good observation. That's a very good thing. That's what I mean, you guys are confused on
Just
this.
compare arrays, right, and see.
Yeah, exactly. See, all that we got right, whoever was asking this question, whenever I did the array name, I got a pointer, right? I didn't get the whole array. Remember when you use an array name, what do you get? We get the address of the array. We don't get the entire array. So this statement here, it gave me an address. And this statement here also gave me an address, and both these addresses would obviously not be equal, right? Because both the structure variables will be located in different memory locations. So that's why they are not equal. Did I answer your question?
Sir, can you do stx2 equals to address of stx1?
Sorry?
In
Oh,
the
you want,
above line,
you want
in
to
the
do
third line.
here?
Yes, sir. Equals to address of xt.
You cannot do this now. Then you need a pointer variable here, right?
Yes, sir. Initialize it as a pointer.
Yeah, I did that. Then what do you want to do?
Sir, I want to compare them. Like it's a pointer now.
Yeah, stx2 is a pointer. Yeah. So now what do you want to do? You want to point. Okay, now you want to do this, right? Dot array.
Yes, sir.
See, I didn't want to touch this, but then I have to tell you this. Now, when you are accessing structures using a pointer, you cannot use the dot operator. You have to use this operator. Remember this. Because now you are trying to access the variables of this. Yeah. So stx2 is a pointer to stx1, right? So it's an extra. You could access now stx1 either using the name stx1 or by using the pointer stx2. Now there are two access points for stx1, one through the pointer and one through its name directly. When you are accessing the pointer by its when you are accessing the structure variable using its name, then you have to access the member variables, you use the dot operator. But when you are accessing the structure through a pointer, then you have to use this operator, the arrow operator. Is this clear? This is just a syntax issue, guys. Just remember this.
Sir, you created the arrow using two expression, right?
Sorry?
You created arrow using two expression, right?
No, that's fine. The compiler will know that this is one thing. It will treat it as an operator. This is an operator actually. This arrow, this thing. It's don't think of it as a minus and then greater than. No, the compiler will know the context in which it is being used, right? And then it would then automatically.
What does this operator exactly do?
It helps you access the members of a structure when you are accessing the structure through a pointer. Is this clear?
So could you run this once, like stx2?
Yeah, now this thing should be equal, right? This thing should be exactly equal. Array1, sorry. Array1.
No, you have to change the other one as well, I guess.
What other one?
So the second part, stx1.
No,
in the if condition.
That's what I told you, right? stx1 is the name now, so I can access it using the dot operator. Why do you have to change? You are saying me to change this dot, right?
Yes, sir.
But then I am accessing this structure member variable using the name of the variable, right? I am using stx1 to access it. stx1 is not a pointer, right? What is the pointer? Pointer is stx2. Did you understand this? stx1, if you go here, what is stx1? stx1 is simply the variable, that's it.
No, what I was asking is, like, if we had two structures, stx1 and stx2, and then using this operator, can we compare two arrays?
Using what? This equal to operator?
No, this minus greater than.
This is, you can never compare two arrays of different structures. Now here we are talking about the same structure. stx2 is just a pointer. It's not a different structure. Don't you understand this difference here? stx2 is a pointer on this structure. Matlab, the location is the same, right? You just have two ways of accessing it. One way is by the name itself, that is stx1. Another one is through the pointer, that is which we have just pointed to, right? Using this statement here. See, stx2 is storing the address of stx1. So there is two accesses to stx1. One through the pointer and one through the variable name.
Sir, and if we had a like not an array, just a singular data type in structure array, then also we would have to use this operator to access that.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, whatever there is inside the structure, if you are accessing through a pointer, you have to use this operator, this one, the arrow operator.
What's the benefit of using a pointer to a structure?
What's the benefit of using a pointer for that matter? Why do you use a pointer?
No, but like we can pass it into functions and stuff.
Yeah, the same thing for structures also. Now you might want to pass it to a function and then modify the structure, right? then we use a pointer. But then the arrow operator will help you access the, I mean, that's how the language is designed. I mean, I can't help there, right? Because if you want to access variables through a pointer, through a structure, you have to use the arrow operator. That's how the
So a
language syntax
structure is not like an array where for an array the array stores the address. So the structure does not store just the address like the array.
You mean to say the array name, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, when you use the structure name, you don't get the address. Just like when you use a variable name, do you get an address? You don't get an address, right? When you use a variable name, you get the variable value. That's why whenever you use a structure name, you don't get anything with a structure name. You have to use a dot operator or an arrow operator to get to the values inside the structure.
Sure. And we can compare the arrays of the same structure.
Yeah, basically you are comparing the same array. I mean, it's like you are asking, I mean, you are comparing you to yourself. What is this? This is the same array, right?
And
Being
if we
compared.
had to compare two structure of the same structure type,
but different values.
Yeah, like stx1 and stx2. So we will have to use for loop.
Yes, you have to manually go inside the array. Then there is no way. This copying thing works. That's fine. But then to do this comparison, you have to do the for loop, and you have to manually go inside each structure, each member variable, and then if the member variable is an array, you have to go to each index to do the comparison. Okay, so let's see what we get now in this. Yes, see, we get they are equal because we are talking about the same array here.
Sir, can we like add to a structure?
I want to get this concept really clear, guys, for you. Whenever you say this, someone is asking me, can we add two structures, right?
Yes.
So let's do this. So let's say we place
STX.
this one, yeah, and then we do this one. Let's keep it simple. I mean, let's just keep one data type, right? One is very very basic int. Let's say int num equals to 2. Sorry, int num, and then I say, and then I say 2, and then I say 3. And then what do you want to do? You want to do sta, you want to do 1 plus 2, right? Guys, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now all of a sudden,
Sir, why can't we initialize the num inside the structure?
We can do that, but then let's see after this. Let's see this. Can we do that or not? I have to recollect. Yeah. So now what do you want to do? You want to do stx1 plus stx2. But then we need another holding structure, right, for this. stx3 equals to stx1 plus stx2, right? And then we say stx3 dot num. So this is what you guys are suggesting me to do, right? So let's see what happens. See, there is an error because it says there is no matching operator. Just give me one moment.
Sir, I guess we can add them by element by element.
Yes, you have to do that. That's the only way to do that.
So basically we can only assign one to other, but we cannot do any operations other than that.
Sorry, can you repeat?
we can assign one structure to other, but we cannot do any other operations like addition and all.
Yeah, to do any other operation, you have to treat the structure member variables as normal variables. There is no other way to do these operations. Okay. And there is a very there is a very nice and modular way to do this. You could just write functions. In fact, you could just write, let's say, you could just write this struct, what is it, say, struct array, and then add struct struct. See, what you can do here is you can simply say, just follow whatever I'm writing. It's quite simple. You could just say s3.num equals to s1.num plus s2.num return s3, right? And then, yeah, sorry, and then you could, all that you have to do now is you have to just call that function and you say add stx1 stx2. Do you get this? Now you can use actually functions to do this instead of writing this manually. So when you could have your we could have your program say this is the function which just adds two integers to two structures, and then you could have this function written in your program somewhere, and every time you wish to add two structures, you just call this function, which will add the two structures, put it in the third structure, and return the third structure. Yes, we made a new data type, right? That's what the point of structures is. We made a new derived data type, which is also called a data structure. Okay, so is everything clear till this point, guys? Good. So the final thing for today is something that I will show you. Good. So what is this, guys? Tell me fast. What am I doing here? I am doing bubble sort. So this is a pretty standard sorting routine, right? So what have I done? I have just taken an array of 10 numbers and I have just bubble sorted it, right? And then when I print there, I get the correct sorted sequence. Now, what's the beauty about structures? I'll tell you that. So let's say you want to maintain student records. So what would go in student record? Quickly, some suggestions. Now you have declared a new
name, marks, roll number.
A string.
Wait, one at a time. Yeah. So you are saying now your name would go there, right?
Yes, sir.
Roll number.
Your age would go there. Int roll number would go there.
Admission number.
Okay, that's more than enough. Yeah, good. So you have defined a student like this, right? Now you have a structure called student in your yeah, let's not talk about marks. Yeah, so you have a structure called student. Now what you can do is, first of all you can have a lot of, I can put all that information about you guys using this. I can maintain nicely the information for each one of you using this structure. And let's say C did not allow me to have structures, right? If C did not have structures, what would I have done is I would have had to create different data types, right, to store these things, right? Then I would have a big array which will store all your names. I would have a big array which would store all your ages, big array to store roll numbers, big array to store admissions. Just imagine the horror which I have to go through to just give the data for one student. Let's say I want to give the student for data for Venu Gopal, who is sad right now in the chat. If I want to give data for him, then I have to go through each of the arrays, right? I have to go through the name array, age array, roll number array, admission array. I have to go to 4 arrays 4 times and then get this data out. Now I think you guys will be appreciating structures. If I do the same thing in structures and I declare an array of structures, if I do this, let's call the name list, array list, and then let's say there are 200 of you. So then what have I done here? In this line, I have created a structure of an array of structures which has 200 students inside it. And then I will initialize, I will initialize all your data, right, inside this array of structures. And whenever I want to access, let's say I want to access the first student or the 11th student, right? And then all that I have to say is I have to say list of 11, and then I get all the data in one place, in one memory location. I don't have to traverse between arrays to get all the data for the 11 student. If I want to, let's say again, if I want to get the data for Ayan, let's say, so what would I do? I would just traverse the student list and I would check for every name, right? So I would write a loop something like this for all, right? And then I say for all the, that is for all 100, I would say if what would I say? If say list of I dot name equals to, if I say this, right? Whenever I get this, whenever I get a hit here, whenever I see a true here, that means I have reached to the place where the structure, where the data for Ayan is located. And then I can simply print all his data here, one after another, one after another. Right? Just appreciate this fact that but just by doing a single traversal, I am getting all the data for one student. Why? Because I have stored all the data in one place as a structure, and I'm using an array of structures. Is this point clear, guys? Finally, I have explained to you why you need structures. When you want to design big softwares, big I mean complicated programs, you want to keep related data together so that you can access them at one shot. That's how structures will help you. Fine. If this point is clear, now let's say you have a list of student names, right? Now let's say you have five students, right? So then what you can do is, if you want to sort it, let's say you want to sort the students. Now you need to sort the student list. So let's say I have initialized some data here, right? I have initialized the data. I mean, I'm not doing the initialization here, but you can do it later on. In the book also, you can see how you use it, what is the syntax for initializing an array of structures. You can see it from the book, right? But let's say I have initialized all the student data here. Now, if I want to sort it, right? If I want to sort it, I can choose any field for me to sort. Let's say I want to sort it by age, right? All that I have to do is, instead of doing this, I mean, I can run the same bubble sort, right? I can just say this dot age is this, if it is greater than this dot age. And then I can, once this condition is true, I do the swapping here. And when I do the swapping, all the things will be swapped, right? Because here I am doing, now think of all these things. Now think of this array as a structure now. Sorry, I have used the wrong name here. So now let us use an array here, yeah. Yeah, so now if I do this, yeah, just look at this code here, this piece of code here. So I am sorting the entire student list by student array by age. So whenever I see this, I'm doing a bubble sort, right? Now I want to swap two students. Whenever I do this swapping, right, I am just using the equal to operator. So what is happening is the structures are getting swapped, like from one place to another. And during this swapping, not only the age is getting swapped, right? The entire structure is getting swapped. So all the data is getting swapped. So automatically, based on one field, you have sorted the entire student list, right? I mean the entire student data. Now, if I want to choose a different field, what do? You just change the condition here. Instead of an age, if you want to do roll number, you just say roll number. And then you'll be sorting based on roll number, and the students and the list will get arranged based on the roll number. If it would not have been a structure and split across different arrays, I would have to sort each array individually to get the final sorted list. But then using just one sort, I'm able to do the entire sorting, right, of all the student data on a single field. Is this clear? How did I sort the array? Sorry, how did I sort? I mean, use the structure concept to sort the entire student data. Nothing changes, guys. Nothing changes at all. Instead of an integer array, what did I do? I used the structure array. And instead of just using this field that I use, right, for an integer array, I just use what? The integer, right? Instead of that, I just chose a field inside the structure and I did a comparison, and then I swapped the structure. The swapping is also similar, exactly similar. Instead, previously there was an int here, right? Int. So instead of an int, I just have to swap structures now. That's it. So I name it accordingly. Okay, so is this example clear? So what did I cover today? We covered at length about the storage of structures, what are structures, what are member variables, how do you access member variables, using pointers, using the dot operator, how do you equate structures, I mean how do you copy one structure to another, right? And then finally, what is an array of structures and how do you sort it? And there is nothing fancy about sorting. The sorting is the same, the bubble sort only, but the only thing is the syntax. Shall we end it then, guys? Because I have to take a class in 15 minutes.